Well, well, well. We have once again reached another week where I kind of feel like there's a lot of people on the internet that have no clue what is actually worth being upset about, what isn't worth being upset about, and I genuinely think that people just kind of need therapy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Good lord. The amount of troubles we've had this week.
Yep.
Triple
So,
threat.
yeah. So this week we're going to be talking a bit about some weird stuff that's been going on in the world of video games, where one particular company that used to be well regarded within the industry has fallen off. Then we'll be talking about people panicking over nothing with the whole the next Ghost of game. And then we're going to be talking about something that is actually a problem and is actually screwed up after that. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Once again, folks, welcome to On the Grind. So to get us started off, we're going to start with some positivity, possibly. Serena actually wants to talk about the Nihongo Bugman.
She's out here watching Korean karate cockroaches.
Oh, karate fruitman for the men. I was like, okay, so I just finished watching Kamen Rider Gaiden, which basically it's written by the dude who created Madoka Magica and written Saya no Uta. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if those two series ring a bell, you kind of know what you're going to get into. Characters find out a dark truth. Characters go insane and try to fix it while going insane. But seriously, the story takes place in a place called Zalmi City, where there is a large corporation that's basically taken over the city called Yadrsil Corporation. A group of young kids called who a group of young kids form their own dance crews called Beat Riders to kind of bring joy back to the city. The main character is a member of one of these crews called Gain. His name is Kota Kazuraba. He ends up stumbling into this alternate dimension where these mysterious alien fruits are growing and ends up getting a lock seed, which allows him to transform into Kamen Rider Gain, the person you're seeing on screen if you're watching on YouTube. Most of the episodes of him is misadventures with his dance crew friends, trying to defeat these creatures called Invins, which are these alien bug creatures that come from this other world. The truth about what these creatures are and what happened to that other world gets revealed later on. And yeah, this is where you see like the Madoka like trope of characters discover dark reality of the situation they're in, which, to spoil it, it turns out that other reality was actually a civilization that succumbed to these alien fruits. If you eat these like alien fruits, you basically become a mutated creature. And these fruits are kind of like an invasive species. It's heavily implied that they not only invaded that dimension, they're about to invade Earth itself. So the characters have to find a way to basically halt the end of the world. My favorite character in this series is Kamen Rider Oren, as me and Xavier like to call Kamen Rider Entertainment. To you Nikkei fans out there, he's basically a gay. He's basically a badass gay who owns a bakery shop, and he's like the best character. He kind of starts out like as a pseudo antagonists, but eventually becomes like friends and allies with the characters in order to stop the end of the world. But he basically just stole the show. Then you got the rival character. I forgot his name. Crap! I forgot his name. I'm not good with names. Zakuda was. It began with a K, I think. Shit, I forgot his name.
Oh no.
But yeah, Kaito. Yeah, Kaito Kuman. He's basically your stereotypical I want power because something bad happened to me in my past. Basically, he's Virgil. He's Kamen Rider Virgil, but without the cool song and the badassery. He's just annoying.
Oh no.
He becomes a major villain later on in the series.
So he's Sasuke.
Yeah, kind of. Kamen Rider Sasuke. Because his entire character is, I'm a mopey bitch / tsundere. I want people getting close to me. I need to have power in order to not be a victim anymore.
Well, that's definitely Sasuke.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sasuke, I'm of the opinion that Sasuke is just Virgil, but lame.
It could have made Sasuke work, but let's not get too much into that. Then you got probably one of the worst characters, Kamen Rider Ryugen, aka Michi Kurashima, who's the kid who is the younger brother of the CEO. The CEO, what's his hell? The younger brother of the CEO of Yggdrasil, the big bad company, who is trying to find a way to save humanity from this invasive species of plant. Michi deserves less. Michi's entire motivation is, I'm in love with this girl. Holy shit, I fucked up. The girl's dead. Holy shit, I fucked up. My brother's dead / in a coma. And I'm just going to mope around in the last few episodes because of how much I fucked up. Also, I was trying to kill and betray my best friend because he was endangering my my love interest. Who's not his love interest. He's coded as the main character's love interest. There's a whole plot line surrounding the main girl, Ren. I think that's her name. Oh my gosh. No, Mai. Yeah, Mai, sorry. Her name is Mai. She kind of plays a large role later on. But you do see a version of her pop up earlier in the series. You just don't know what's the deal until the very end. But to get back to Michi, aka Mitsuzane, he's probably one of the worst characters because everything everything bad that has happened is because the dude only was thinking about himself and not how his actions affected his friends. He was willing to betray and even kill his best friend who has helped him out and even saved him on occasion, even encouraging him to become a Kamen Rider to protect the people that they love, all because of this one girl he's in love with. So anyway, Michi deserves less, not more or less. Later on in the series, they introduce more writers from this that are like created. There are more advanced version of the Kamen Riders who have lock seeds created or synthesized by the scientists in this company. Oh, by the way, all the writers in this series are themed after fruits and ninjas and samurais, as you see on the screen. So the character can try to form into Gon, who is basically an orange samurai. Then you got Kamen Rider who has like a theme around bananas, and I forgot what you call that weapon.
A chakram?
It's a weapon you throw.
Is it a round spinny disc?
No, it's
a boomerang.
No, not boomerang. You spin it and then you throw it, and there's this large object that hits people.
And that sounds like a chakram.
Yeah, it sounds like a chakram.
Yeah, they all have each lock seed has a different weapon with that ability. So you got a lock seed that's like watermelon themed, but you can use a mech suit in it. It's basically a walking mech suit. there's like a and then you have Oren who basically his is like what was the name of that smelly fruit?
Or durian?
Durian.
Yeah, durian. Yes, his Loxy is durian. He's probably one of the best fighters in the series. He's only taken down a couple of times by one of the antagonists in the series, who's the CEO of Yadrisa Corporation. But then again, uh, Oren doesn't really mind being taken down by him. He develops a crush on him.
Oh Lord.
But the CEO, he just really doesn't give a fuck. He just finds him annoying. The first couple of episodes of Kamen Rider are kind of like boring and slow pace because they focus on the dance competition and just misadventures of the characters. But as soon as that ends, like around episode 9 or 10, the plot starts to pick up heavily. It starts to become very dark quickly because now you're getting into the end of the world. And also, people who eat these fruits, they mutate. I should also say they mutate. And the main character, Gaim, he, without realizing, he killed one of his best friends, who was the head of his dance crew. This entire time, he's been trying to find his best friend, not realizing that the first Invens that he encountered when he first transforms was in fact his best friend mutated. And this completely destroys Kota. Because he also tries to save like a bully character who got mutated by eating one of the fruits, only to have that character he was trying to save get killed brutally right in front of him by other writers.
Sounds very sounds very Guyver in how it's presenting its story.
Yo, this was written by the dude who wrote Madoka, who created Madoka, so it makes sense. But yeah, I would rate this is a really good series. This is my first Kamen Rider series. And we're currently checking out other Kamen Riders, specifically Kamen Rider Kuga and Kamen Rider Ryugi. We were watching Kamen Rider Ryugi last night. I had to go to bed because I got sleepy. But the first 2 episodes of Ryugi was kind of good. Had to catch up though. But yeah. If you're sure about the Kamen Rider series, I would give Kamen Rider Gaim a watch. You guys got any questions?
Not really. I'm personally not the biggest like tokusatsu fan, but that's just a me thing.
Me either, but I miss with Gaim.
I'm not really into the Korean karate cockroaches, so but if you enjoy it, I mean,
Korean, Japanese.
Yeah, but it's easier to make it sounds better.
Yeah, admittedly, Korean karate cockroach rolls off the tongue a lot better than Nihongo Bugman.
Mm-hmm. And I'll probably piss off a bunch of people for coining the term, but it is what it is.
No more people.
There are legit people that will get very angry if you say that you don't like fucking Kamen Rider.
I mean, I didn't like Kamen Rider for long because I just thought it was like another Power Ranger type show, which it kind of is.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Well, Senta, fucking Power Rangers was trying to be the funny one at the first, and then they turned into the more serious, and then Kamen Rider tried being more serious, and then they ended up becoming funny.
Yeah. I remember watching X-Aid and being like, what the fuck is this? Especially because the last enemy was just fucking Dio Brando in a goofy costume.
And they don't care. They don't care. I'll respect that. They don't care.
Yeah. I think
They're
now
not ashamed of their shit.
I feel like now what you should try, Serena, if you like that, you ought to try Guyver.
Oh, Guyver.
Guyver?
Yeah, Guyver. It's
Guyver is a love letter to Tokusatsu, but it's sort of like if that love letter was like written by Ozzy Osbourne.
So metal as fuck.
It is
so-
metal as fuck. Like it's fucking nuts. And it sounds like the way you described the plot of this show, the first thing my brain was going is like, this sounds a lot like Guyver's plot. Especially like the whole thing with like your friends getting transformed and your loved ones getting transformed and people killing them and shit like that. Like that's like straight out of Guyver.
yeah.
I've never seen Guyver.
Okay, so with Guyver, you have the main character who has a biosuit that he uses to essentially fight these. I don't know the actual name of them, but
Zoonoids.
they're Zoonoids, which are essentially like giant werewolf monsters, but they have like different shapes other than wolves. They're more like bug shaped, and Guyver just kills the shit out of them. And it's a pretty interesting concept.
Yep, it is a fucking blast.
How many episodes is it?
If you watch the anime that there's been two that I recommend is the mid 2000s one. It's about 20 some odd episodes, and when you finish it, you'll be like, why the fuck didn't this get another season?
20 episodes.
22. Yeah, 22. So it got a full first season. It's just, for some reason, I guess it didn't do well enough on Japanese television to get it to warrant another one. The manga never got finished either.
Yeah, I still
So-
think chaps everything.
Yeah. So that's a bummer, but it is a lot of fun to watch. All right, let's go ahead and get into our topics for the week. So to get us started, good old Ubisoft.
Oh goodness.
Mike, do you want to take the lead on this one on what's going on with these idiots?
Okay, so let's go into some stock numbers here. So in 2021, the Ubisoft stock reached a high of let's see, just checking good old Yahoo stocks here, $83.24. Anybody want a good guess at how low it is right now?
A tenth of that.
Oh goodness, it is approximately $10.48 right now.
Good lord.
The investors are pissed. The lukewarm reception to Star Wars Outlaws has kind of spooked the upper management, which, according to a number of sources that I've got, this is all secondhand, or even third hand at this point. The structure of Ubisoft is just like management upon management upon management upon management upon management. So none of the constructive criticism ever reaches like anybody who can actually change anything. It all gets filtered, and nobody wants to take a risk. And so you get these solid, boring games that come out, and they're just boring. Like, from all I've seen of Star Wars Outlaws, it is safe. There's no risks. You have the last that they scanned in, and they have the modern day issue of the modelers not willing to be offensive and actually like show her that she's actually fucking breathtaking in person to look at. No, they screwed with her face to make her a little less offensive to the so-called modern day audience, which has not shown up whatsoever.
Yeah. It's almost like they don't buy things.
it's like they don't buy things. They don't have the money for it. And to top it off, then you have the absolute hostile reaction that everyone has had to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is the attempt to create a San Francisco situation in feudal Japan. You know, a black man attacking Japanese people. But oh god, I'm gonna get killed for that one. But that entire situation with the Assassin's Creed Shadows has been kind of fucked. Absolutely fucked. They've stolen banners from a you know how like we have Civil War reenactors over here?
Yeah.
Japan has Sengoku reenactors, and they stole the flags from a LARP regiment and put them in the game without their permission. They've taken scans and pictures of Buddha that the temples themselves have said don't do this because the flash photography and whatnot can actually damage it, and you really should go and see the statues themselves. But and then you have the them releasing the most tone deaf figurine possible, which included a you know those Shinto gates?
Yes.
They included the two figures of the main characters, so you have your Yasuke and I don't know who the lady's name, but they're sitting on half of a torii gate without considering the symbolism of half a torii gate. The only half torii gate that still stands around here, in Japan I should say, is the one that was still left standing in Nagasaki when after the bombs dropped.
Oh God.
So yeah, they've taken Chinese architecture, called it Japanese, and put it in there. They've taken Chinese instruments and put them in there and called them Japanese. They've dug themselves into a hole. And with Yasuke himself, they relied upon a historian who had been found out to be a recursive researcher.
Yeah.
Which is to say that he kept citing himself as sources for things upon Wikipedia, and which was also Wikipedia really fucking hates like recursive sources.
Mm-hmm.
And for just this reason, because with the recursive resources, it'd be like, okay, so I read a book about say, I don't know, William Churchill liked diddling boys. He didn't do it. I'm just saying, this is an example. And then I publish that book, and then I go to Wikipedia, I cite my book saying William Churchill also liked diddling boys, and then I put it down in the citations. And then I go to write another book citing the Wikipedia extract, stating, "Hey, look, Winston Churchill diddled boys." That's the sort of recursive thing that he did with Yasuke, and it's an unfortunate thing. So there's been controversy with that, and so as a result of that, of all the hostile response from both the Japanese and the actual gamer population, hard R, the hard R gamer population.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! With the hard R gamer population, they've
What?
pushed back.
Okay, we have to give context to the listening audience. Serena stepped out for a second to use the restroom, and she literally just walked in just as Mike was just saying the words hard R. Oh no!
No, the hard R gamers. You're not a gamer. You're a gamer.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but what's hard art I'm hearing?
You know, gamer, you know, you're my gamer. Then we got the gamers. Only gamers can use the hard R. You my gamer.
Oh my god.
Now she got it. But
So,
anyway,
regarding the hostile response from both the hard R gamers and the Japanese against Assassin's Creed Shadow, they've tried. They're saying, okay, listen. They not only canceled their appearance at the Tokyo Game Show, but they've also moved back the release date to February, or Black History Month.
Oh my god.
But they're gonna get fucking
I
stomped
see
there
what
too,
they're
because
doing.
they're gonna get stomped there too, because that's when the next Monster Hunter game comes out,
yep.
and then another game that's supposed to come out then as well. So, what it sounds like at Ubisoft is that they have a tone deaf culture of toxic positivity, in which nobody's allowed to like criticize anything, unless it offends the HR somehow, and it's just getting worse and worse, and unless something happens in which like half of the management gets like wiped out and new management gets put in, I don't know I don't know if Ubisoft can recover. But assuming that some sort of miracle happens and they remember that they have a fiduciary responsibility to their investors to actually make saleable products and not constantly have developer churn, which is actually a really big thing with them, and that they constantly like promote like single task developers instead of veteran task developers to higher levels, and put them on other tasks that they're not like used to. Because like, oh goodness, you remember that one game like that they released recently that was what the fuck was it? X Games, I think it was, an X shooter. It reportedly had a number of developers working in the back end that had no experience working with FPS, and it showed. There are so many issues with that game, and there's so many issues with Outlaws, and there's going to be so many issues with Assassin's Creed Shadows, that I don't think they're going to be able to turn this around
Yeah.
without a lot of heads rolling.
Why so incompetent?
It's the unfortunate culture that they're trying to essentially save money by outsourcing as much as they possibly can, or promoting junior devs beyond their means. And anybody who's like a senior dev or has actual like experience making certain things, they get ignored. And I don't know if anything's going to change without like a giant sweep of all the managers that's controlled, because it's seriously, it's like you got your devs, and then you got your supervisors, your management of those guys, management of those, management of those, management of those, and nothing goes up really without getting filtered like eight or nine different levels. And it's an absurd amount of like micromanagement. Oh, it's gonna be brutal. I don't have hopes for Ubisoft, and they kind of need to be cleansed, like thoroughly.
They're at a point, I think, where that constant upper management and then thinking that, like, trying to get the modern audience, I really feel has blinded them to how easy it would be to fix some of these problems. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows, like with all of its issues, it has absolutely mystified me throughout the process, because when I heard about it, I was like, oh wow, this could be the game where I actually go back to playing Assassin's Creed, because that's what I've said for years, is like, this is their in case of lack of profits, break glass video game, and they have done nothing but screw it up from the start. Which there's nothing wrong with having a fictionalized version of a character in Yasuke, you know. Just don't just be honest about the fact that it's historical fiction, including that, and the Japanese wouldn't have been bothered by it. But the fact is like all these problems that they've had and stuff like that, where they're screwing up the architecture and all these things, like of all of the Eastern nations that are out there, Japan is one where they will share their culture with us willingly and happily.
Oh fuck! They love our culture. We love their culture. They want us to wear their shit.
Yeah.
They were like a group that was trying to sell us kimono because they're like, hell yeah, we sell to outsiders, we'll make money, we'll keep making kimono. But then the cultural outrage bullshit, the cultural appropriation bullshit, which I fucking hate.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it! Fucking hate this shit. Anyway, the cultural appropriation bullshit started rearing its ugly head, and it just kind of looked like, earnestly from the outside looking in, it just kind of looks like jealousy.
Yeah.
Like
it's one of those things where I look at it and I think to myself, it's like, look, like, don't overcomplicate these things. You know, don't come up with this idea that, or don't make it out to be more than what it is, which is a lot of what people who chase the modern audience are constantly doing. You know, it's one of my favorite things is, like, you know, on Twitter is I'll see people that'll be like, oh, you know, such and such thing is emblematic of blah 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 blah, and the fact that they don't like it is emblematic of blah 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 blah. It's like, alternatively, it's just not their taste. So
which is unfortunate, but
yeah, it's one of those things where I think to myself, I would like, these are not hard issues to deal with. These are ways these are things you could easily turn around if you wanted to, but by outsourcing, by getting companies like a Sweet Baby involved and things like that, you know, these people that don't have an appreciation, in my opinion, of the cultures that you want to be representing with your video games, like, why the fuck would you want them to have any involvement with this? It's like, you know, just do what your audience is looking for. You know, make video games for people who want to play video games. You know, it's I had somebody ask me about Grindstone at one point. They said, you know, like, what kind of like, what audience is Grindstone aiming for? And I just said, comic book readers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like comic books? Well, we've got something for you. You know, tell me what kind of story you've got. We're gonna have your back. We got you. But ultimately, it's not one of those things where we're chasing this audience or that audience. We're chasing people who want a good story. You know, in Ubisoft's case, it's just we just make video games. That is what we do. That is what we like. So that's what we make. You know, it's, if you overcomplicate it, you know, this is what ends up happening. You know, the KISS principle exists for a reason.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep.
It's the only way we're gonna get audience in here.
It honestly feels like that's been a problem that Ubisoft has made, or a thing that they've done for years. Like, because I used to play Ubisoft games and really like them. I played Ghost Recon Wildlands, and then what was the successor to that? Breakpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And Breakpoint had a rough start because they tried to do a bunch of live service shit with it, and then people were like, "I don't want this live service shit." So they got rid of it, and then more people wanted to play it. And then with For Honor, I loved For Honor. For Honor was like my favorite multiplayer game for ages. Then they started adding in like a bunch of like, oh, we've got 3 factions, but now there's people from 5 different fucking backgrounds and blah 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 blah. And it's like, you're overcomplicating this. This isn't fun anymore. If you want to add in new factions and shit, just make a new game. Stop trying to stop trying to make this one thing, and overcomplicate it. Just come on. And it's sad to see because, like, personally, I have very fond memories of the original Assassin's Creed. It's one of my favorite game stories ever. I, to this day, still enjoy its look at the Crusades. You know, and Assassin's Creed 2 was a lot of fun. I'm one of the weirdos that actually likes Assassin's Creed 3, mostly because of Micah.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks to see a company like this that at one point was considered one of the titans of the industry be at a point where it looks like they might be gone if they don't unfuck themselves, which, you know, something might seem... Oh, go ahead.
Can you imagine the fucking coke parties they would have had for watching their stock go from $4 all the way up to 80 fucking bucks a share?
I know, right?
Right.
So,
they would be endless.
It's one of those things where I say that I don't really think there is such a thing as too big to fail. I think it just takes longer. You know, and I think that it's like you've had so many things that could have been a slam dunk, and you just screwed it up. Open world Star Wars game where you're not a Jedi, you're just an outlaw doing jobs for crime families. That could have been awesome, but you screwed it up. And then now Assassin's Creed, where you get to be a fucking ninja, easy money, and you had to screw it up. It's like... It's just sad. It's sad to see. So yeah. Speaking of Japan, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima was released. Mike, did you play Ghost of Tsushima?
I have not yet, but
oh man,
it does look really, really interesting considering the circumstance, and I was really intrigued after the real Tsushima. Loved the game so much that they made the creators like ambassadors.
Yeah, it was easily one of the best games about samurai ever. And the fact that it was done by a Western developer and was celebrated so much by the Japanese was wild, but still very cool to see, because it was obvious that Sucker Punch really has a lot of respect for Japan's culture and their history, and they took the time to make sure that they were doing exactly that. And there were people, of course, online who complained about everything, who complained about this, but about the original. But when the Japanese even came out and said, like, no, this is great. But it's an amazing video game. It's probably one of my favorite, like, open world style games that I've ever played. The sequel was announced, and basically brand new character. And on top of brand new character, it is 200 years after the original Ghost of Tsushima. So it's in the 16th century. And we are following a female protagonist. We don't know exactly what the story is. I would assume, since this is a samurai story, it is probably revenge of some sort. And a lot of people thought it actually looked really cool. I am one of them. But some suspects that you wouldn't think would praised it. One of those people I noticed was Az from Heel vs. Babyface, who of course is a very fairly well known anti-woke culture warrior YouTuber. He flat out said, he's like, look, Sucker Punch with the last game did a tremendous job, and they obviously have a lot of respect for Japanese culture and wanting to tell a good story about their culture. So I have faith that they're going to be able to do this. And I saw other people with similar, that are of the Culture Warrior cast, I guess you could say, that said the exact same thing. It's like, look, these guys did a great job last time. I'm not going to let, like, we might not, some people might think we're going to get Samurai Girl Boss. We could get Samurai Ellen Ripley. The weird thing is that other people have been losing their shit about this. And I'm not sure why. One thing that people brought up was that the politics of the lead actress in this do not align with whatever
Erika
they're...
Ishii.
Say that again?
Her name is Erika Ishii.
Erika Ishii. But her politics might not align with, certain people's. So they're assuming that her politics are going to bleed into the story somehow.
Is also the fact that she was blocking a bunch of people on Twitter as well.
I'll be honest about something. Sometimes I wonder if it was if it's a chicken or the egg scenario. Where was she blocking people on Twitter because they were giving her shit for having the politics that she has, or what? Like, I don't know what went on there, so I'm not going to make any assumptions. The one thing that I will say is that if you go out of your way to get pissy with somebody that because they were cast in a video game and you don't agree with their politics, I genuinely wonder if you've never actually followed an actor on social media.
Yeah, that's one of the few things that you have to realize is that everyone is essentially not going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Not in modern day Hollywood.
No, definitely not modern day Hollywood. Like, and by the way, for anybody who's listening, I'm not trying to insult you guys or anything like that. I'm just being honest about the world around us. There's a lot of actors and actresses out there that they're super lefties. And they're not going to agree with you on that, but that it's not their job to agree with your politics. It's their job to tell you a story. And I haven't really seen anything that would suggest that she is incapable of playing a lead role in a game like this.
She played Sector in the newest MK1 Chaos Reigns DLC.
Yeah, and that character is a straight woman, if I remember right. And I don't think the actress is. So it's like... So clearly she doesn't have a problem playing a straight woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think like the actress says like she's like non-binary or she has weird pronouns or whatever. So clearly she doesn't have a problem playing a character that isn't like that. It's almost like she's an actress or something.
I mean...
Again, I hate to be a dick about it. It's just like, I really feel... Like, it says here, Ghost of Yotei Nontroversy. I really feel like this is a Nontroversy. I really honestly believe that people are making a mountain out of a molehill here.
I'm always going to be leery about choices of actors, actresses, writers, and whatnot. More so about, like, the people at top. I'm going to be more leery of the people at top than I am anybody that they pay. So... I'm just gonna stand aside and watch, but I'm not gonna hold it against them because it could turn out pretty good.
Yeah.
Because 16th century Japan was one of the more interesting times because that's the Sengoku period.
Mm-hmm.
Where everyone starts slinging swords and spears at each other because they just discovered that the emperor is not really a good emperor.
Yep.
We can do the shogunate thing ourselves.
Yep, that'll be. I definitely think there will probably be an interesting story. I'm curious about where they go with it. And my whole thing is that, again, like, this is a company in Sucker Punch that. Oh, one thing I also need to address. For those of you who have gone out there and have lied about Sucker Punch and said that they have hired Sweet Baby Inc. in the past, why the fuck are you lying? Like, genuinely curious, because that's not true. Like, at all. They're not even, like, if Sweet Baby had worked on Ghost of Tsushima, one of the most, like, critically and acclaimed and well-loved video games of the last, like, 10 years, do you really think that Sweet Baby would resist possibly putting that on their website? That'd be a big feather in their cap.
Oh my goodness, it would basically, like, oh good lord, the amount of fucking prestige they would get for that.
Yeah. So this is I griped about this weeks ago, and this is just the chickens coming home to roost. This is why you don't make companies like this, that it's basically just a bunch of fucking knuckleheads coming in and being really bad at their jobs, and you turn them into Satan. These people aren't Satan. They're just bad at their jobs. They're bad consultants. They make things worse. They're not present here. You have no evidence that they're present here or anything like that. Stop lying about it. Just stop. You're not. All you're doing is making yourself as bad as they are. Simple as. And this is just, like, one of my biggest gripes whenever it comes to, like the culture war brain rot is real, and this is a really good example of it. I can understand being wary of the ladies' politics, but take a female character that you like. Everybody talks, like, Ellen Ripley is a good example of that. Do you think Sigourney Weaver, her politics align with most people's that aren't a lefty in Hollywood?
I bet you not even, like, one bit.
Yeah, let's have a look. Personal life on Wikipedia. Democrat. Yeah.
Fantastic.
What about Jamie Lee Curtis? Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my favorite actresses. I know she's a Democrat. Yeah. She endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016. Vocal critic of President Trump. The only thing that I'm seeing that Jamie Lee Curtis agrees with me on in regards to politics is she's an Israel supporter, like I am.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like, if you think that these people are gonna just, like, agree with you, like, you're missing this, like, the whole thing. Here's the thing, because here's the other thing. There's probably people in our audience that don't agree with me on, or any of us on, certain political beliefs or anything like that. But that's not why we're here. We're not politicians. We're not here to sell you politics. Admittedly, that's one thing that gives Grindstone an advantage over Marvel Comics, it seems. But that's not why we're here. That's not what we want to do. Our goal is to sell you a good story. The goal of Sucker Punch is to tell you a good story about a female Ronin, I'm supposing, or however the story is going to play out. With the shamisen on her back, I'm thinking that she actually might just be a musician that happens to have a sword. But we'll have to see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sort of like this. Like, think of it this way. When you go to a gas station, you get gas. Do you think that Do you not refuse to go to that gas station if the person behind the counter, um, voted for somebody different than you?
It's kind of absurd.
It is, but I feel the same way with actors and actresses and shit. All they're doing is that at the end of the day they're selling me a product, and that product is a story. It's the whole sell the hot dogs thing. And it's still a philosophy that I think that a lot of the entertainment world still believes in. Not as much as I would like, but a lot of it does. So, I feel like where you should be concerned is whether or not they're interested in telling you a good story, and whether or not they're interested in doing their jobs. If you have evidence that this person is not looking to do a good job with Ghost of Yotei, please just produce that, because that's enough. Anything past that, you're just being an asshole. Goodness. People need to calm the hell down, man.
Maybe just a little.
Por favor. Speaking of not selling the hot dogs.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Serena, the fuck did Marvel do this time?
So apparently, I learned from a comic YouTuber me and another friend subscribe to. They apparently made Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler, aside from changing his origins, they also made my boy a fucking furry. For reasons. And people are pissed.
They should be. Ugh.
Because it wasn't bad enough that you made his mother, his father, now you made a completely different person his new mother, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
They literally turned Cartman's mom as Cartman's dad into an actual serious storyline in an X-Men comic. It sounds funny, but it's so true. It's like, how the fuck?
I remember that special. It was a two-parter, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And then you had to buy it in the store because they wouldn't put it on TV. Ugh. And it turns out that Cartman's dad is actually his mom. So yeah, I can't. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this show, with this comic, at all.
I find it an issue that I've had with Marvel Comics for years, and this is just emblematic of that, is they have consistently been doing away with the religious beliefs of characters, or just making mockeries of those
beliefs
of those characters. And I still don't understand why they're doing it. Granted, one thing I have noticed is that there's a lot of current writers for Marvel that are hardcore atheists, and not like the people who's just I just don't believe in God. They're like anti-theists. They legit get mad if you believe in a higher power. Jason Aaron is that way. Like as good of a story the whole Gore the God Butcher arc was, a lot of it was basically atheism.
Atheism.
And I really feel like, because we've had stories where, in comic books in general, we've taken away and reduce the religious beliefs of Batman, of Venom, of Spider-Man, and Daredevil. Like, his Catholic beliefs don't get brought up nearly as much as they used to. Which, by the way, if I recall correctly, Frank Miller is an atheist. And Frank Miller never had a problem with portraying Matt Murdock as a fucking Catholic and making it a big part of his character. In fact, he emphasized it a lot. But then again, that's Frank Miller, and he's a talented writer. So by making, like, one of your, or at this point, your one last bastion of religious characters in Marvel Comics and Nightcrawler, making him into a furry, supporting effectively sexuality, well, not calling it a sexualized, it's a fetish. Supporting a fetish like this, trying to make that fetish mainstream, and doing it with a Christian character? Fuck you.
Yeah. God Lord.
Like,
just the depth they'll go to try and, like, fetishize, I mean, like, to normalize their fetishes.
Yeah.
They always go on and be like, oh, don't get it between two consenting adults in the bedroom. But now they're bringing the fucking bedroom out here, and it's like, hey, you're a bigot if you disagree with this. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and it's like, I'm gonna put it this way. I want you guys to imagine something. For those like, oh, you don't get offended by it, chud. Okay, think of it this way. What if I was hired by Marvel, long shot I know, to write Miss Marvel? And in issue number 1, I have her eating bacon while having sex with a Jew.
Nice.
What would the reaction be to that?
She'd be so edgy.
This is me we're talking about. But what do you guys, if that comic actually existed, what do you think the reaction would be on Twitter?
Good Lord.
Not good.
At minimum, a fair bit of outrage. A bunch of... I bet you get a bunch of fucking replies to the original tweet, like, announcing this comic. Just that picture of Bateman saying, cool it with the anti-Semitism.
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, I'm of the opinion that a talented writer can write characters that don't agree with or has different perspectives other than their own. So my question to Marvel Comics is, why don't you have any writers that are talented enough to write characters that believe something that they don't believe?
Goodness. I wrote a thread on this about the ability for people to be empathetic. And it's like you'll have the lower intelligence people, and then the higher intelligence people, and then you have the people in the fucking middle who will just, okay, so like the lower intelligence person will just say, okay, I trust my eyes. If this person acts this way, I'd probably act that way. And then you have the higher intelligence person imagining that circumstance their whole life or whatever. And be like, you know what? If I was born that way, I'd probably act that way. I'd probably think that way. But I'm me. Whereas the people in the middle, the so-called midwit, just imagine themselves as that person. Which is really a really good shortcut if that person is sort of like you. It doesn't really work out because they don't have enough brain power to imagine themselves, or I should say, imagine another person in a different circumstance, different politics. And there's other studies that have also been done on this, in which conservatives can roughly estimate what their more liberal compatriots can can their politics end up being, and how they think about it. Whereas liberals don't have this; they have the opposite issue. They can't imagine what a conservative position on anything is at all. So it's just a bunch of it's an unfortunate side effect of consensus empathy versus like, just actually like being able to imagine somebody else. And yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, really, altogether.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think that in the comic book world, we have probably one of the most probably the least talented roster of creators in regards to overall writing skill that we ever have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's wild to me, and a lot of it is like because they're so politically motivated and they think that they are on the right side of history, that they don't have to get better at their craft. And it's like, look, at the end of the day, this is a service industry. And if you're taking a character and you're changing them like this in a way that basically says we don't want readers who are Christians, like what do you think people are going to do with that particular statement? Well, they're going to take their money elsewhere. You know. Meanwhile, people wonder why a television show like what is the one that they're doing about the life of Jesus? The Message?
I believe it's what it's called, yes.
Yeah, I've watched a few episodes of it, and oddly enough, it's actually really good. That's doing ridiculously well, and to be honest with you, I've always had this argument that biblical stories, if you present them right, can be compelling to anyone. It's incredibly compelling, and they do the storytelling really well. I just think to myself, it's like you could by allowing these characters to be of different religions, you could find yourself in a position where you're going to get a reader base of people that are of these belief systems that are actually going to read it, because there is evidence that there are quite a few Jewish people that are interested in comic books. There's quite a few Christians that are interested in comic books, so on and so forth. Like, why is it okay to cater to a Muslim audience but not a Christian audience? Mm-hmm. Why does the Christian character have to get all fucked up and the Muslim character doesn't? It's wild to me. And the fact of the matter is that having Kurt Wagner be a furry is like having Miss Marvel have sex with a Jew and eat bacon. It's the exact same thing in regards to the religion. And
it's it's getting a little absurd. They're a little too brave with it. Ugh.
Yeah, we're now at a point where just the level of disrespect towards their own reader base is just wild to me. And at some point, there's gonna need to be a reckoning, or else Marvel Comics, the House of Ideas, could end up folding in the next 20 years, like Ubisoft is in danger of folding in the next 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be sad to see, because almost all of my favorite comic book characters are Marvel characters. I hate seeing this, but they do it to themselves.
It's terrible. I wish that I know the ESG system's going down, and then now they're moving into something called Bridge.
Yeah.
It's the only way we can keep this up is just keep up the pressure. Just don't buy what you don't like. That's all you can do.
Vote with your wallet. Don't buy Marvel comics, buy Grindstone comics.
It worked remarkably well for Bud Light.
Yep.
Fucking took them right the fuck out.
Basically.
And it's slowly manifesting in Ubisoft, and it's probably going to start showing up in other companies pretty soon here. It hurts that it has to be this way, but it has to be this way. Ugh.
Yep. At some point, somebody's got to fucking learn. And now is that time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, folks, we've come once again to the end of our show. Man, it's so wild to me that the simplest thing of like doing what your audience wants you to do seems to be so complicated to people these days. But it's not complicated for us. Just as a reminder, for those of you who listen to or watch this episode, we are still doing Cyberpop stuff. That book is over $19,000 raised at this point.
Yeah.
And we have been on Indiegogo's highlights of arts and film for almost the entire run of this book so far on that platform, which is wild. We've got over 200 backers, but we could do more. So if you're out there, you're listening to this, you haven't backed the book yet, please head over to Indiegogo. Do that. Also, don't forget to get on the mailing lists for the St. Peregrine crossover and also Black Rhapsody Book 2. We are trying to get more and more people on those mailing lists. The big goal I want to see for Black Rhapsody, I would love for by the end of October, we have over 100 signups on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, sign up.
Sign up to get cool shit in the background.
Exactly.
Yes.
So on that note, folks,
Those
we are going
who
to
sign up get.
say that again, Serena.
I was gonna say those who sign up get 2 virgin colors in a special print.
Exactly. Free stuff.
Yeah.
Free stuff is great. So, folks, we appreciate all of you.
Free stuff.
We also appreciate the fact that you've put your faith in us, and we are going to continue to deliver our very best for all of you. So, we'll be back next week with more interesting discussions. Stick around, and we are going to continue to have a blast with all this. So on that note, for Mike and Serena, and for Wayne and Xavier who couldn't be here this week, my name is Micah Curtis, the head of Grindstone Arts. We'll see you guys next time.
Prick.